Well, here we are. We've reached a point I consider halfway for the series and possibly one of the top tier episodes to come from the entirety of the classic show. Why do I say this, you might be wondering? Well, it's officially the last time that we see both Vilgax and Kevin as current day antagonists to the events of Ben 10 Alien Force.
Excuse me, the fuck did you just say?
Meaning they pulled out all the stops to create a desperate, emotional and action-packed installment to send folks home happy, as Season 3 drums up an entirely new shitstorm for our arrogant little 10-year-old to deal with.
Good times!
But one impressive feat we will see here is Ben come full circle with the one thing many like myself wanted to see for so long, and that was the Omnitrix reaching its full potential after Ben continued to screw around with it following last week's episode.
Who's the dumbass?
Whoa! Hey, how about a little professional courtesy here?
What's that, dumbass?
Say it again.
You want me to?
I dare you.
Dumbass.
We begin this one by catching up with our old pal Kevin, who's drifting through the cosmos on Slick's Vigma's ship that he acquired following episode 5 of this season, where interestingly Technorg is gone after we left him looking to settle the score with Kev and save Ben in that process. Kev and the crew drift into a fuck ton of debris and discover a large piece of ice that no doubt was from the fucking Titanic with how big it was, that contains Ben's old adversary Vilgax, and Kevin is fully aware of who he is.
It all makes sense now.
Following the intro, we see that the gang has arrived at Niagara Falls, where Ben is still playing Bop It with the watch, and unlocks a mental connection with it, allowing him to switch seamlessly between transformations without timing out, essentially giving him master control.
You didn't see that coming.
Ben quickly puts it to good use though by saving an old man who fell overboard from the ship, when we cut back to Kevin introducing himself to Vilgax, who upon defrosting proceeds to beat the shit out of Kev until he convinces Villy that they have a shared interest here in taking out Ben. Vilgax agrees and uses Kevin's mutated DNA signature to get a lock on the Omnitrix whenever it's activated, which given Ben's recent discovery will make that pretty fucking easy. Shift back to Earth where we see Ben starting to piss off Max and Gwen and confuse the fuck out of the locals when Villy and Kev track him down and the battle begins.
Doesn't this place seem familiar?
I don't know. Why?
I don't know, doesn't it just kind of ring a bell?
Ben manages to barely evade them both where he tells Gwen and Max to stay out of it, and the fight finds its way to the bridge by the falls where Max uses the Null Void projector to cast Kevin and Vilgax away.
God, demon!
As Ben rushes to continue the assault though, he doesn't realise he'll get drawn in too, and almost avoids it till Vilgax reaches back through and drags him in.
Oh yeah? Well, I got your face.
This worries the fuck out of Max and Gwen, who both gear up to pursue Ben, only for Gwen to instruct Max to stay as he's the only one who knows how to keep the projector going, and Gwen is nimble enough to get through and back in time and retrieve Ben. As Gwen ventures through the portal, things escalate for her, almost losing her jetpack thanks to a group of creatures attacking her, but shortly after she lands right in the face of Stinkfly mid-flight, who has escaped Vilgax and Kevin for now. They have a few harrowing encounters with the natives and things start to wrap up with Kevin Villy cornering Ben and holding Gwen to ransom for the watch. Ben concedes and they use a device to actually remove the Omnitrix from his wrist.
Son of a bitch, you're really no help at all, you know that?
Once it's off though, a quick game of hot potato plays out with Gwen somehow switching the container holding the watch for a bomb that deceives the hunters, and they make their exits from the Null Void with Gwen revealing that she did in fact keep the Omnitrix, and returns the watch to Ben with an impressive visual showing all the silhouettes of the aliens returning to him, and we close on Ben complaining about the fact that he's lost the master control function, having almost given the watch to Vilgax and Kevin.
God fucking damn it!
Now, before I get hounded in the comment that this isn't actually Vilgax and Kevin's final appearances, quick history lesson for you all. Yes, we do see Vilgax return next season in an alternate future version of Ben's life, but they tie it into the classic series as a setup for that version of Ben's involvement in the future shows.
Fan-fucking-dabby-dozy.
Meaning it's not actually Ben's future self, as his future self we'll see play out over the course of Alien Force, Ultimate Alien and Omniverse. And equally, Kevin returns too in Season 4 of the classic show, and I believe in that same future timeline, but it still isn't relevant to this current day Ben. Then Vilgax makes a handful of appearances in Season 4 as well, including the pseudo finale that is apparently another timeline unfolding, but during the Season 4 premiere, both he and a non-vocal cameo from Kevin pop up as fictional dangers concocted by the Forever Knights. But for the current day chronological version of these two, this is it.
Well, this stinks.
Vilgax does return once more in this age of Ben as the antagonist for the Secrets of the Omnitrix movie that was supposed to be the actual finale to the classic series, but even that is fucking debated, so if you're hearing about this for the first time, just know we don't get any fucking clarity on any of this until season 2 of Ultimate Alien. Anyway though, I hope that clears up the confusion about why I'm saying this is the last time we'll see them both. As for our two antagonists here though, I never caught this episode back when the series was airing and just assumed that at the time they'd forgotten about both Kevin and Vilgax, but as it turns out, they were left in a location we frequent by the time of Alien Force and beyond for various reasons. But a location that becomes deeply personal to Kevin's backstory and the reason for his attitude shift by then as well. And as for the little twerp here, Kevin was everything we loved from him. He was quippy, juvenile, and was treated like a legitimate threat against Vilgax, rather than another lackey to fall short of Vilgax's dominance. Though I will say he was rather downplayed in places here, likely to give Ben the lead against the two in this game of life, but he still held his own. He obviously didn't do much that we hadn't already seen, and Vilgax tried to treat him like a lackey, but credit to the boy, his ambition is equal to Vilgax's strength.
No, he's got a point.
As for Vilgax, the lad honestly needed more of a singular send-off in my opinion as Ben's first major villain from the series, but come Alien Force, he'll meet the potential we never knew he possessed. And damn is it a good job that bastard never landed a blow on Ben like he does then.
Worthy adversary.
'Tis but a scratch.
Otherwise though, Vilgax had a delightful send-off here that bookends how we left him at the end of season 1, being blown up on his ship. Plus, with his departure here though, it gives dear old Steve Blum a break from having eaten enough gravel to provide for that voice. The incompetence of them both though, and inability to come together, was one of the reasons that Ben was able to overcome the odds, but more importantly, the actions of Gwen is what saved the day here. The last kicked some serious ass without really throwing fists and held her own, even managing to outsmart the pair, several Null Void guardsmen, and essentially keep the universe alive. As we find out by the time of Omniverse that had Ben lost the watch at that point, that would have been it. I do find it hilarious though that Max just had a suit that was ready and fit her stature and size. Aside from that, this was one of the last times that we'll see Gwen in a state of vulnerability as well, as next time she is compromised, she'll be acquiring some very useful skills. Though I do have one question regarding how she got him out of this jam, and that was how did she hide the container with the watch behind her back so easily, and offered an explosive that looks similar in size to Villy and Kevin as well. How does she honestly manage to hide that from us and Ben? It's the size of her head and she's not exactly big, but at the end she just pulls it out like a fucking magic trick. Anyway, we can't go on an entire breakdown and not mention our 10-year-old Tyrant. Following on from the events of the last episode, we saw that he continued to fuck around with the watch, and it actually played to his advantage this time, as the majority of the issues he encounters with the watch is just down to him not understanding how the damn thing works. But in this instance, he managed to make a happy accident. He unlocked the master control, which was disabled by the end, but we'll see him basically tap into it as often as I do in a bag of fucking Doritos in the future. But here, this was a huge deal. The idea that the watch could possess an ability of this magnitude was huge at this point in time, and something that fans were clamouring for after for so long. The respect and restraint exercised here with it though, I will equate to the introduction of the World Between Worlds from Star Wars Rebels that basically acts as a means to control time within the Star Wars universe. The genius to that episode though was that they shut down the possibility of reopening it again within the same installment, so our heroes couldn't just jump to it in times of need or desperation over and over, removing the consequences to events that play out, much like the Master Control would have done here. As fun as it would have been to see Ben access the ability over and over, it would have removed the challenge that he needs to encounter for him to evolve as a hero and a young man, and let's be honest, it would have become exhausting to see every fucking episode. I thoroughly enjoyed this one though every time I watch it. The levity is genuinely hilarious, the brutality is exactly what is needed to be, as this is Ben's toughest battle yet, and his moment to prove exactly what he's capable of when offered a wider function to the Omnitrix. The Null Void was finally revealed to us as well, and exactly what you'd envisioned it to be, or at least what I did. It's just a massive void in space, which I believe was later revealed to be designed by Azimuth to act as a prison, but became a colonised location eventually, though I really wouldn't quote me on that. And as for the final showings of our antagonists here, it was as good as you could squeeze into 20 minutes I guess. The watch's latest function was a spectacle and the pacing was a breeze. The details of this were all precise, every use of the Core 10 was seamless, and the ways in which the watch worked works becomes almost second nature with the upgraded Omnitrix in the future spin-offs, but for now it's just a wholesome addition to let Ben flex for a moment. Kevin, Ben and Gwen in particular were bursting with agency, charisma and energy in this that helped to elevate both Vilgax and Max, who were playing corner supporters here, but every piece of this worked to progress the plot and allow for a well-paced, entertaining episode. Anyway, that's all I've got for this one. Thank you so much for continuing to journey with me through this incredible show, and I hope you're having a good time revisiting these fantastic escapades and hearing what I have to think about them. If you are enjoying them though, be sure to hit the thumbs up, make sure to subscribe if you're enjoying what you see here and you're new around these parts, and until next time everyone, take care, and I will see you soon.